Is you ready to ride? Right now, can you feel it? Let's go, undefeated. Turn up and repeat it. Over and over and over and over again. Right now, can you feel it? Let's go, undefeated. Turn up and repeat it. Over and over and over and over again.
Y'all already know what's going on. We are back, the official Attitude Era podcast. We are here at the Wrestling Universe right now. Shout out to Jack once again. We are here with a legend, with an icon in the wrestling industry, in the hardcore championship belt, the guy that held it the most ever. Here we are with Raven. What's up, fellas? What's going on, man?
Awesome. So let's just get right into it. First of all, we, like you said, we have an absolute legend here, a hardcore icon. My first question to you was, how do you go about becoming a hardcore icon? Is that something planned? Was it your style? You knew you wanted to go more hardcore, or it just naturally happened?
Just naturally happened. I just found that the more weapons I had at my disposal, the more creative I could be. And the more creative I could be, the more interesting the matches are. You know, instead of the same old thing. You know, so just came by. I came by it naturally, you know, organically, I guess.
Got you. As far as you being a 27-time hardcore,
It's actually 39 times.
39.
Yeah, but they have it all listed wrong. But that's all right. It's 39.
No, listen,
Who's counting?
It's exclusive here. We counting. You know what I mean? 39.
39.
So was that like? I know it was running fast when it was the 24/7 rule, but at any point was like that scripted in to make you the person that won the most, or did that just wind up happening?
just winded up happening.
Okay. And if you could tell us which was your favorite hardcore match out of all of them you had?
Backlash with Rhino.
Okay.
That was. I think that was one of the best hardcore matches there's ever been, easily.
So coming from, because a lot of like somebody like myself, until later on when I got older, I always thought your career started in ECW. And when I did my research, it started in WCW.
No, it started way before that. A couple of years before that, even. I started in '87. I went to Larry Sharp's Monster Factory, and then I went into the territory system, and started in Memphis.
Okay.
Went to Florida Championship Wrestling. Then I went to Vancouver for Al Tomko for British Columbia Professional Wrestling, or whatever it's called. Then I went to Portland Wrestling for 2 years. That's really where I learned how to work. And then I went to WCW.
Okay.
And where in that like journey did hardcore wrestling get introduced to you?
ECW.
When you got to ECW?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So being with that, right? Because it was a known thing to say, you know, ECW is separated from all the other brands in terms of, because a lot of people had the stigma, oh, wrestling's fake, but when it came to ECW, it was Extreme Championship Wrestling for a reason, because you guys went the extra mile. What was one of the most drastic things you had to do over there, like in terms of that time period of just setting the bar of, this is why we're separated from the other two main brands, even though it was companies all around the world?
Well, I just was more creative, I think. You know, it's a matter of who can make the most interesting stuff, you know, and who can make it the most believable. You know, it doesn't matter what they think of anybody else's match. If you can make them believe your stuff's real, then you got something going. And, you know, people believed that I was a real dick. And I kind of was, but that's beside the point, you know, but...
So in that, in ECW, because ECW is where I think your character and just you as a wrestler really took off and became another type of legend. Do you have any favorite moments that stand out from you from ECW specifically? Because I've got one that I know of that.
What's that?
That's when you crucified Sandman. That's the one. That's the one everyone knows about. What went into that moment? Like, was there ever a moment where you were like, maybe this is too far even for ECW?
It wasn't too. Even if it was too far, which it wasn't. When you're the Extreme promotion, you don't apologize. That was a bad call, but you know, that's well-known history. I don't want to rehash it, but you know, it's It's one of those things, you know. You can't, if you're the Extreme Company, you can't apologize no matter how wrong you are. But we weren't wrong. I mean, it got the right reaction. I was in the ring, so I know.
Yeah. And do you think? I definitely think so. But with today's age and everything, do you think something like ECW could even happen with the internet and everything? How it's a little softer?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it was just the right thing at the right time when wrestling was getting, you know, cookie cutter, and it was so two dimensional, and the characters were like, let's make a guy a Duke the Dumpster Drozy. You know, I mean, no offense to him. You know, let's make a guy on hockey goon. You know, what I mean, it was just grasping at stuff, and
Yeah.
People would and name guys wouldn't lose matches. You know, so everything was a count out or a DQ. So there's a lot more going on than people realize that weren't around at the time. But it was a revolution in the scheme of wrestling, in the sense that they changed the way it was presented. They changed the way they changed the way it looked. They changed the way that there was always going to be clean finishes. You know, no count out matches and stuff like that, just to protect somebody. That was a huge thing. People don't even remember that anymore, but that was a huge thing.
No. Do you have any other standout moments for you from ECW?
They had a double dog collar match with the Pitbulls.
Okay.
Yeah, especially when I got the ether, and I put it on a rag, and then I was in the back, and some of the boys heard what I was going to do with ether, and they're like, "That's not going to get over," and I'm like, "It's going to get over. Watch me." They're like, "No way! You've bit off way more than you could chew this time." And I got out there, and as soon as I poured it, the whole audience could smell it because it's such a distinctive scent that even if you didn't know what it smelled like, which nobody does, you knew that's what it was. You know, and you saw what I was doing, and you knew when you smell ether, you know it's ether. And I actually put it on the Pitbull's Pitbull number 2's face. I actually had it held too tight, and he actually I knocked him unconscious for a minute, for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So when you were saying the more weapons you have makes you more creative on what you can do, you're infamous for pulling up with the shopping cart.
Yeah.
How did the shopping cart actually come about?
I hated watching people go under the ring to pull stuff out and throw it up in the ring. You know, because why would it be under the ring unless it was something that was supposed to be there, and then to find a way to introduce it, I thought, well, that's a pain in the ass. I'll just bring it out with me. That way, I'll have what I need to use. So all I got to do is have it, so I don't have to waste time in the match going to find the props. The props are right there.
That's awesome. And I gotta ask you, because this is something everyone who watches wrestling wonders. This, what hurts the most? What's your favorite weapon, and what just hurts the most? Like you don't want to work with them.
You don't want to get hit with getting hit with a kendo stick is brutal, especially if it's not loosened up enough. You know, if it's not loose, it's really stiff. I mean, it's brutal. I hate getting hit with that thing. You know, but I took enough of them that that I can say that I never needed to take any more after I took as many as I did.
Right. And what's your favorite weapon to hit someone with?
Yeah, it probably changed. I mean, it all depends what kind of mood I'm in. You know, like one of my favorite things we ever did was it was Dreamer's idea. He had Beulah. We did a double down, and then I got up first. And as I'm getting up, while we're down, Beulah Dreamer's ankle is hanging over the apron, so Beulah tapes a frying pan to it. And then as we stand up, I get up, I go to pick him up. He knocks my hands away, kicks me, goes to kick me, but I catch it, and then he enzigures me with the leg with the frying pan on it. They're so creative.
Is there any?
But if you really think about it, it doesn't make a lot of sense because you have a frying pan on taped to your ankle. Why would you kick the guy with the other leg first? But nobody's gonna see that. You know, nobody's gonna think of that except me. You know, but because it actually makes more sense to kick him with the leg with the ankle, put it on it. But obviously he knew I was going to catch it so that he could hit me with the enziguri, which is a more interesting looking move than just a kick.
Yeah.
Just at that time period, because growing up as we're kids watching the Attitude Era, watching ECW, the wrestling business at that time. What was wrestling like back then? Like just the environment of like the locker room, going to the ring, the matches, the world at the time. Because that's just like, now when you look back at it, it's just such a pivotal time that just seems like can never, you know, sometimes they say you could recreate history. It doesn't seem like that will ever be created again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really follow wrestling anymore, so so I don't really know what's going on now. But
It's not lit.
yeah, but yeah, the yeah, no, it was the right time and the right place, you know, with the right people.
Yeah. The invasion, like that that storyline.
That's when I stopped watching it. When I stopped watching wrestling, when WWE did the invasion angle with the Alliance, and used none of us, I'm like, I'm done watching. And I stopped watching wrestling. Then that was 20 plus years ago, and I haven't watched it since.
Yeah, that was the next question I was gonna get to, is why would that be the case when you guys were like pivotal people from the other respective companies going into it?
Who knows? I mean, there's a million, you know, theories, but basically, you know, Vince didn't he wanted to bury ECW because he didn't like ECW being chanted at his shows, and he couldn't control that, so he wanted to make sure he buried it. You know, so that's part of it. You know, part of it was when Buff and Booker went out and had that stinker of a match.
Yeah.
That Vince just right away threw his hands up in the air and said, "That's it. We're not doing anything with them." You know, so it was a couple of things. You know, but those are the two main things, I think.
Gotcha.
I wanted to ask you, is there any in-ring moments that maybe don't include you directly, that you were watching a match, like a spot or something, that you were like, that is insane, that maybe even inspired something you would do later, just a moment that you really like?
Yeah, when Elix Skipper walked the top of the 10 or 15 foot cage, it was like a legit 10 foot cage, so it was like 15 feet off the ground, which would mean his head's about 20 feet off the ground. And he walked in the top of the cage, and then Frankensteiner Daniels, but it wasn't the finish. It was the most impressive move ever in wrestling, and it wasn't the finish, and that's why nobody remembers it. You know.
Oh man. You have a pretty infamous moment too, where you were cutting a promo. I believe this is at ECW, and a fan.
The WCW.
At WCW, and a fan runs into.
Yeah, grabbed me by the hair. It was weird because earlier that day, I mean, like, no one had ever attacked me in the corner because I made sure that nobody did. You know, I was going to save it. And so me and Canyon were in an angle, and so we decided, I brought up to him that day, I said, you know what, we ought to have you attack me in the corner. And so I figured, you know, next week we would ask for, because we already we were scheduled to do what we were going to do that day. And it was so weird because then all of a sudden someone's pulling on my hair while I'm in the ring cutting a promo, and I'm like, that can't be. It's got to be Canyon. Can't be. Why he wouldn't do it? But it's like, so I just went with it because, you know, what else am I going to do? You know, what am I going to fight back my hair? I mean, especially if it was Canyon. You know, I thought maybe like that he got it cleared and he was doing it to surprise me, to make it more exciting. I don't know. And it turned out to be some 80-pound scrub. You know, so
some just fanners.
Yeah, and I didn't even get a chance to hit him because by the time I got up and went to go after him, he was already being pulled off by security. So
that is insane.
Yeah,
insane.
Don't jump over the barricade at these shows. The fans try it. I don't know.
I went to the Hall of Fame show at the Barclays like 3 years ago. That was the year when the guy did that to Bret Hart.
Oh, when he tackled Bret Hart?
Yeah, I was there in the building. It was insane.
Why would
the guy tackle Bret Hart?
For no reason. He just wanted to be, I guess, known, like popular. He just went for it. Like he just literally at that time where.
But Bret already had a stroke. And
shit. Yeah, he could have hurt him. He could have hurt him for real. That's why I was like, the wrestlers really beat the shit out of him.
I was gonna say it's great. They beat his ass.
He deserved it though.
Yeah.
Like you can see like as he's inching, but you don't know what he's doing. You think he might just be going for a picture. And he's like, I guess, gaining the confidence and the courage, and he just leaps over the barricade and just runs in the ring like Goldberg. Yeah, it was crazy.
And then everyone proceeds to beat his ass. It's actually fun to watch him getting his ass beat. Another question I had to touch on. You're someone who you've been to like all the big three leagues. You've been to a lot of leagues. Is there a league that for you as a wrestler stands out more? I don't want to say likes the most, but you're like, I feel like home here. Like, this is where I've had my best matches.
ECW and Portland.
And ECW gives you that home feel?
Yeah, and so did Portland.
Very cool. Very cool. And ECW is kind of where you honed your character.
That's what I created it for.
Right. And what was the origin of Raven, and how did that come about?
It was just based on my internal turmoil. You know, it was based on me, but modified. But I mean, it's how I dressed anyway. It's, you know, it was my personality. You know, when I wasn't being a sarcastic, funny bastard, you know, I was just, you know, like Raven. You know, that's more my. But it's more who I was internally. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Than who I was on the surface. You know, because yeah, whatever.
And my next question I was going to say to piggyback off of that is, at that point that you created Raven, then to now, how much of the character do you still think is with you now, or do you think you're past it, or do you still have some of that character?
It's always going to be, because it's always going to be a part of me.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Are there any? Do you ever get into like everyday regular arguments and you just have to pull Raven out on them and just maybe hit them with a kendo stick or something?
No, I'm too old and beat up for that.
But Raven wasn't your only character that you've ever had throughout your wrestling career. Were there any that you enjoyed too, or were there any that you just despised?
Well, no, I mean, you know, like I started out as Scotty the Body, just a pretty boy chicken shit heel, and I loved doing that. And then Scotty Flamingo was a derivation of that, and so was Johnny Polo. But then it came time to. It was hard to stay. I knew I wasn't going to get a high spot on the card as a chicken shit heel, so I needed to become, you know, be like a tough guy like everybody else, you know. And here's the thing: is like, I never wanted to be a tough guy in this business because, I mean, I'm a tough guy in real life, but not in this business with guys like Steiners and stuff. You know, you know, that's like I'm way down on the tough meter. You know what I mean? Compared to guys like that, and so I thought I didn't think it was interesting, just being a tough guy, you know, a guy, you know, who gets beat, you know, who you punch in the face and he sells it. I'm all about the selling, you know. So I found a way to make make my character the toughest character, except he sold. He took a beating, but he kept coming, because the guy who's tougher, the guy that takes the beating. The guy that gives the beating, or the guy that keeps getting up from it? You know, the guy who keeps getting up.
Yeah, the guy
that's a great point, and I think somewhere where that very much comes into play, where we can see it's good to connect them, is your legendary hardcore match at WrestleMania with Big Show and Kane.
Right.
What went into that? How did that feel like? Did you know it was going to be as legendary as it turned out to be? What went into that match?
We just put it together. I mean, they had planned WWE had planned for me to get thrown through the glass window, and they wanted me to wear my jacket, you know, so I wouldn't get hurt. I'm like, I'm not doing that, you know. Okay. And I was going to try and find a way to get my T-shirt ripped off before that, but I forget why I didn't, but and then the golf cart chase, when I got run over. Originally, we were supposed to have the golf carts drive around the entire Astrodome, with Kane in one and Big Show choking me in the other one. But I started when Big Show starts choking me, I figured I have to drive a little screwy, and there was like a fence, and so I tried to bank off the fence, but the fence had too much give to it, and the golf cart went off the edge, and so that's why. So to make up for it, because I just blew the spot, you know, where we're going to drive around the car, which is, I would have loved to have done that. So I'm still pissed to this day that we still have regrets that we didn't get that right. But so I made sure I got run over to make it look convincing, to make up for it. But the funny thing is when when the cart ran off the road, we almost cut the wire. We cut some of the wires, and we cut the main power wire. If we would have went like an eighth of an inch or a quarter inch further, you know, into the thing, it would have cut off all the power to the show.
Oh shit!
Some crew guy told me that after the show. He said, "You almost canceled the whole show." I was like, "Really? What happened?" And he told me. Yeah, it's crazy, huh?
Yeah, that's insane.
I got so much heat for that.
If you cut off the power to WrestleMania.
Yeah, I got so much heat.
Setting the bar so high with that match for just like the hardcore, because I feel like you were one of the prominent guy that stamped the belt, that made it
Yes,
solidified.
absolutely.
Like, this is something that people should go for.
Absolutely.
What's one of your dream matches that you never had?
I don't know. I mean, now I like it. Looking back now, I'm apathetic. You know what I mean? I don't really care. But
Yeah.
at the time, I don't know who I would have wanted to wrestle with. I mean, I would have loved to work with The Rock, or somebody like that, But
Because I have a dream stable that I think that just would have been crazy.
What was that?
You, Sting, and The Undertaker.
That would have been
I
crazy.
just feel like at that time period of the mystery, but still the evil and like the dark things that y'all possess, even to the dressing, I think that really would have been something at that time, like the Attitude Era. Like, that'd have been a good version of the Ministry of Darkness.
yeah, but it's too many. It's all chiefs, no Indians, though.
Okay,
Yeah,
I see
too
what
many
you're saying.
people in charge and not enough. You gotta have somebody that's the lackey, the flunky.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I would go with that stable, but I would add Cactus Jack to it. That would be.
Yeah, that's one more guy that
That's
can
one-
talk and lead the show.
That's one more
yeah.
chief.
That's,
one more
that's
chief.
true.
At that point, that's like a evolution on hardcore steroids.
Yeah, that's
But-
true.
But just to cap the interview off with my last question that me and my partner Z both want to know, who is the 4 people that you would put on your hardcore Mount Rushmore?
Cactus, obviously.
Yeah.
Myself.
Definitely.
Who else? Sandman. Dreamer.
That's a solid 4.
Yeah.
Solid 4. Let me ask you 2 more questions.
So he just said it's the last question. And
Wait.
He's
I gotta ask you because you brought it up.
Fine.
Sandman, legendary rivalry with Sandman.
Yeah.
Probably some of the best storyline
Ever.
that we've ever seen
Yeah.
in wrestling.
Yeah.
I wanted to know of that. Do you have a favorite match or moment in that whole rivalry?
My favorite moment with that, well, not my favorite. I don't know if it's my favorite, but the thing that popped in my head was I was in the ring, and I was waiting for Sandman to come down and do a run-in on me, and somebody had used a watermelon. Some fan had brought a watermelon, and somebody had used a watermelon earlier, and the watermelon juice was all over the ring, and now all over the floor. All over the floor. Sandman comes running out, hits the watermelon juice, drops to a half split, and slides straight into the ring post. Knocked himself out cold. And so I have to go, and now but we got to do the spot, so I got to go get him. So I got to go out on the floor and pick him up, throw him in the ring, and then I have to hook him and DDT myself, and hook him like he stopped me and DDT myself, because that's what he's supposed to leave me laying. And it was ridiculous, because he was half unconscious. He was unconscious at first, completely out cold, and then I got him into the ring, and he was half awake, and I'm like. And I just basically grabbed him and somehow pulled my head into his under his armpit, and then basically forced him and like leg tripped him into taking DDTing me.
Insane.
Yeah.
Oh, because last question, because this is one of those. Sometimes I ask stuff. Sometimes, because I'm a big wrestling fan, I'll see you on TV, and then I'm like, I have these questions, and I'm never gonna get to know them. But then we're in person, and I actually get to know them.
Right.
I gotta ask, your most hardcore moment to cap everything off. The one that you think in your mind, you're like, I was bugging out at this moment. I went crazy.
I had Sandman when we had a barbed wire match. I had Sandman whipping me with the barbed wire.
Oh man!
And I told him, I said, when you whip me with it, because I was like, I was a little nervous about going into a barbed wire match. Paulie knew I wanted to do it, but he also knew that I was nervous about it. So he made me. So to win the belt back, I had to beat Sandman in a barbed wire match, I guess, or something like that. And so it's kind of like you want to do something, but you need someone to push you into doing it. Because if you don't have to do it, why are you going to do it?
Yeah.
And so I told Sandman, I said, listen, I go, if I'm on all fours, I want you to whip me with the barbed wire. If I don't move, then whip me some more. But if I crawl away, I'm like, fuck this, I don't want to get whipped with this anymore. So he's like, so he hits me once, and I'm like, ah. I was like, that's not so fucking bad. And he's like, ah. And he just starts fucking whipping the crap out of me with it. But that's pretty hardcore, getting whipped with barbed wire.
Super. In a barbed wire match.
Yeah, in a barbed wire match.
It's next level.
Where they take the ropes down and put up barbed wire instead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you knew that, they replace the ropes with barbed wire. So if you get thrown to the ropes, it's barbed.
And it's not the fake barbed wire they used later in WCW, but the real barbed wire.
Like no spikes pushed in or anything.
Nobody. We were way too lazy to push spikes in.
Hardcore legend.
Hardcore legend, Raven, Attitude Era Podcast, Wrestling Universe. Shout out to Jack once again. Shout out to Raven for his time. We appreciate it.